Okay, so is Taylor Swift insecure about being white? And if we think about Taylor Swift as like the skinny white woman of America, are white women insecure about being white? Yes, I know. I can put stuff. Republican dog doesn't want you to hear this. I can put stuff into my model real fast. So I've spent a lot of time thinking about this. And you know, it's been very impactful as I realized after writing Uncultured about growing up in a cult and then going into the military and realizing at the plumb age of 33 that I had never been given the opportunity to develop an identity. So I had to go do that. And part of that was like unbeigifying myself, right? And part of that was an anti-racism journey. And I remember reading something that I thought was so impactful that was in one of these books, and I don't remember, I'm sorry, but that a lot of Black culture was created in opposition to oppression, right? As a response to being oppressed in the United States of America specifically. And that's very interesting to me as a scholar of groups. And I think, to come back to this, it's not that white women would trade places with Black women, but I think insecure about being white is maybe a way to put it, or just kind of like jealousy. But I think it's a kind of subconscious, deeply rooted jealousy, because white culture in America are taught to be bland and blank and not stand out. This is my favorite line from the new book in the chapter "And His Skinny White Woman." The cult of white supremacy and patriarchy, which we've all been indoctrinated under to some extent, has taught us that it's the job of good women to be quiet, skinny, and a light shade of beige, and to not be or say anything that stands out, that draws attention to ourselves, that makes us in any way unique, right? And it's interesting how as soon as a white woman, you start developing like visual uniqueness, whether that is tattoos, piercing, funky glasses, rainbow hair, elements of fashion that are you and that are unique, you immediately start getting identified with liberal and other in a very interesting way. So I think that, and if I am saying something wrong here, y'all, please call me in, right? And I'm speaking to Black women specifically there. That I think that there is a sort of freedom that Black women have to express themselves and be individuals. And I think that probably comes from the fact that in this white supremacist system where you're supposed to be trying to be the skinny white woman, right? Like quiet, skinny, and a light shade of beige. If you're on the part of the spectrum that is never going to meet that, you have a lot more freedom to be yourselves. That's one of the things that I have found to be beautiful about Black culture and about living in, you know, we went from living in Seattle, which is 6% African American in the city, 4% in the state, to living in Maryland in a part of the state that is very, very not white, all kinds of people, and immigrants, and having like a lot of exposure to strong Black women. And I think there's a beauty, there's a confidence, there's a uniqueness, there's almost like a love of standing out. If I'm gonna stand out anyways, I might as well look good, if that makes sense. And everything about whiteness kind of teaches you to fear standing out, as authoritarian cultures do. So, you know, I keep going back to color is resistance, and the beigify trends are always interesting. And these are some of my thoughts on white women, and maybe a sort of like subconscious or not, I think like jealousy of like, I wish I could be that.
This is what a marshmallow looks like. Look at it, admire